Just going live, and we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Conversations with Karuna. We are back again with yet another amazing personality this Thursday, and I'm so excited to introduce you to her. I have with me today Mamta Saikia. She is the CEO of Bharti Foundation, the development arm of Bharti Enterprises, one of the India's leading business groups with interest in telecommunication, agri-business, financial services, retail, reality, and communication media devices. She's so humble and grounded, and at the same time, a high achiever. She's been honored as the 100 Women Achievers in India in 2016 by Shri Pranab Mukherjee, then the President of India, and also, given the award of a class of influential leaders from AACSB International. So I'm so excited to introduce Mamta to this show today. Welcome, Mamta, to the session.
Thank you, and a very good day to you, Karna, and all the people who are watching the show.
Yeah, looking forward to an exciting conversation with you, Mamta. So without spending much time, let me ask you a few questions. Tell us a bit about, your growing up, and also how did you choose the career that you are at right now?
So, Karuna, I come from a family of educationists, and my background has been fairly, a very typical middle class background. My father was a professor, and my mother was a teacher. So obviously, education was a very big thing in our house. I mean, um, I think a very big incident that happened, which in my life, it may not sound big to you, but it weighs on me even today.
Sure.
So therefore, it's big for me.
Yeah.
I think I was in class 5 or class 6. Okay, and my father is a professor in math, statistics. I mean, I went on to do BSc Physics honors and 1 year of MSc Physics. My sister is Physics honors. So so you come from a family of those maths and science people. And I was in class 5th or 6th, and I got in mathematics 5 out of 35. Okay.
Oh.
I can't forget these marks, right? And typically I was always in top 3 positions. You're coming first, second, or third in your class or in your section, those days.
Yeah.
And which it was a very big thing in my family. And I know that my my parents were fairly shocked that a daughter of theirs could get in maths marks like this.
Yeah.
And my mother decided to leave her job.
Okay.
To kind of look after both of us, and she felt that because of her job we're not able to kind of fulfill our potential. So that sacrifice of hers, because obviously if you're middle class and there are 2 salaries coming in, it reduces to one salary. It has impact on your lifestyle. And you also know that your mother, a career woman, has let go of. That has always weighed very heavily on me, knowing that the kind of importance that was given to my education. And therefore, it has done 2 things. One, I have valued what has been done for me. And therefore, I do want to make sure that, and this is something my father once said to me. He said, I'll first said it in Hindi, then I'll translate it in English. He said, तुम्हारी कलम से हमेशा किसी का फायदा ही होना चाहिए, right? So he said that let your pen, when you write something, it should always kind of benefit somebody. So I've tried to stay true to that. I know that how much sacrifice and how much importance has been given to my education, and I've tried to make sure that I use it well. And the second thing is and I know the progress that I have made in my life. I know the progress my sister has made in the life. Um, and we know that education has been the key thing which has changed, uh, our living standards and our position in society and things like that, the respect that we get. Um, it has ingrained in me a very deep respect for education. And therefore,
Mm.
I continue to work in the field of education. I continue to feel very strongly about girls' education, not forgetting the boys, but making sure the reasons sometimes when girls drop out, those reasons are not impacting, their education and their lives. So these two incidents really kind of have had a huge impact on me. Um so, Karna, I've done my schooling from a Kendriya Vidyalaya Central School.
Mm.
Um, I've done my graduation from Delhi University. And I remember when I was doing graduation, which was late 80s, um, MBA was a very hot new thing. So typically in Delhi University, we would be trying for civil services, right? And so MBA was the next big thing. And I spoke to my father and I said, I want to do MBA, right? And my father, and I'm an MBA today, okay? So what I'm saying, people will have to see it in that context. So again,
Yeah.
my father said, so he obviously take maths and physics as very higher sciences and, you know, a profession or education which is out there, up there.
Yeah.
His immediate statement was, "Pade Farsi beche tel." You know, he said, "I'm educating you in physics and everything, and you will go and sell soap."
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
said, so he was kind of given his background, his upbringing, and his perhaps dreams for us. Uh, he was not keen that I should do an MBA. So, in fact, he and I had a challenge. So he said, and that's how I did only 1 year of MSc Physics because I had to fulfill his challenge.
Challenge.
Uh, so he said that you. So this is my last year in my graduation. He said in B.Ed course from Delhi University, there are very limited number of seats. And in those days, there used to be only 4 seats for students coming from physics, right? 4 for physics, 4 for maths, 4 for biology. So there
Okay.
must have been some formula, I don't know.
Mm.
He
Yep.
said, he said, you first show me that you can clear this exam.
Okay.
Okay. Only when you clear this exam that I'll allow you to take MBA.
MBA.
Um, and obviously, he was being very clever. He thought once I get into MBA, it was a 1 year course, I'll do B.Ed and then I'll get on to,
Yeah.
the education field. Uh, so I took B.Ed, I cleared it. And then I took that first year of MSc to prepare for my MBA, and then I got into MBA. So, well, when I did MBA, of course, my father supported it financially, and we didn't have that much of money. So he took out the savings from his provident fund, the money that he was keeping for my marriage. Um, so I was very lucky that I got married into a very good family because we had a very simple, very very simple marriage. Uh, because my father had taken out all his funds towards the MBA. Um, Today, I mean, I did my MBA. I started because I was a MSc Physics. I started my career with a power consultancy firm, working with steam turbines, gas turbines, and things like that. But something, always kept me very. You have this sense of that you're not fulfilled, right? Um, so that is the time that I started making round of NGOs saying that can I use my skills? Now, this is very, very early 1991, 92. And in those years, the NGOs were mostly staffed by MSWs and they
Mm.
didn't know how to use MBAs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And whenever I would go to NGOs, I would also see that there is this one person who's so passionate. I mean,
Mm.
typically the head of the NGO would be extremely inspiring and passionate person, but lack of funds meant that most of their programs were short term. right?
Yeah,
NGOs didn't know where their funds would come from next year.
absolutely.
And the short-term program or short-scale programs really did not inspire me, because you kind of you want to work at scale. If you want to make a difference, you want to make a difference at scale.
Absolutely.
So I was really lost that what is it that I want to do. And in early 1993 came an advertisement from CRY. Today it is known as Child Rights and You. In those days it was Child Relief and You. And they were so I had my major in marketing and operations, and they were looking to set up a fundraising cell, right? That was the first fundraising cell established in India, right? I'm among the first fundraisers of the country. And they were looking at setting up a direct mail cell. I don't know if viewers or you remember, a lot of direct mailers used to come, a child's photo on the outer envelope with a business reply envelope and a donation card, book post. It used to be in your post and people would read a story, donate or not donate. So I started that entire thing along with in CRY. We started that initiative in India. It was the first ever initiative. So they were looking at a direct mail coordinator to set up the fundraising unit. I couldn't believe my luck because here I get to use my skills, marketing, communication, and I didn't have the skills or knowledge to work with children or communities because I was not an MSW. But
Yeah.
this is something I knew. I knew marketing, right? And I think it's the same thing. When you want something badly enough, God makes sure that you get opportunities. So I joined CRY, and rest is really history. I set up their entire resource mobilization unit, international operations, and things like that. It was I think it was a privilege to be in the right organization at the right time. So an amazing journey, Karuna. So I started my journey in development sector really as a fundraiser, given my background. But in 2000, I joined CRY in 1993. In 2000 or 2001, uh, I felt that I'm very young and I was already in management committee and I was becoming a one organization wonder. Uh, so I said, okay, I need more exposure. I took a break from CRY, and for next 3 years, I was a consultant. I worked with a lot of NGOs, different issues, and really that was a growth period for me. When you work with small and struggling, CRY had become a name, you know. It was something else to work with small and struggling NGOs and help them become sustainable. So I from 2000 to 2003, I was doing that, and then Bharti Foundation found me, and I think they were looking at somebody to start their work in with Bharti Foundation and corporate social responsibility. Somebody who understands both the worlds, corporate world as well as NGO world.
Yeah.
And so that is how my journey with Bharti Foundation started. Education, I was very passionate about in any case. And to get this huge opportunity to set up schools from scratch, to set up dream schools. We have Satya Bharti schools, which were, which are for underprivileged children, and we provide completely free education and it's quality education. We're not cutting corners. We've got extremely passionate and dedicated staff. So to be able to do that, I think it has been a blessing. God has been very kind. So here we are.
Yeah.
This is what my life journey is.
Such a beautiful story, and it was so engaging. And thank you so much, Mamta, for sharing this story because I think now I know the roots that you come from, and we all understand that so much. And we know this that even though you're such a high achiever, you've been one of the first ones to set up fundraising in the country and get such amazing awards as well. But still, what makes you so humble is the background that you come from and the thoughts that have been instilled in you. So we just love the beautiful stories and the real life experiences that you've gone through and those milestones which have shaped you the way you are. So thank you so much for that kind of an upbringing, also to your parents for such a beautiful thing that they've instilled in you. So you talked about education and being passionate, of course, because of the background that you have as well. But while you were passionate about it, um, what did you see when you were, working in the NGO space? That how was it making an impact on people while you were helping NGOs through CRY or Bharti Foundation? How was that education impacting so many other people?
So that I'll take your question in two parts.
Yes.
Uh, one is how an NGO is working, and my experience with it, because not that I was a very high this thing corporate flyer and came into NGO world. I worked in a consultancy firm only for 2 years, really. But you, after doing an MBA, you do have certain expectations. So there were one or two interesting things that shaped me, and then I'll talk about the impact that I saw and what keeps me here and what keeps me going. So, I joined CRY, and CRY used to operate from a Bharat Ghar in Kotla Mubarakpur. It's a very interesting story. And, having come from a corporate like consulting firm, you used to clean toilets and things like that. Now in Bharat Ghar, CRY was sharing the toilets with the Bharat Ghar, right? So if there would be a marriage yesterday, you can imagine the
Wow.
uh, yeah, and it was Kotla Mubarakpur village,
Yeah.
correct? So so and in those days, CRY used to primarily work with CRY cards, and there was a material wing. So the program people used to be always out for program visits. The cards team used to be out selling cards, and material bank people used to be out raising material donations for children. I was a direct mail salesperson, so my job was to sit in office and create creatives and things like that. So the very first day I joined on a Monday, and I think Sunday was some marriage and whatever. So the office was beautiful because that was cry space. It's just that you shared the toilet, right?
Yeah.
So office is beautiful, and after 1 or 2 hours, I went to the toilet and I died. You know, so somehow I kind of controlled through the day, and it was into a village, so you can't even get out and go to some restaurant or a 5-star and use the toilet. So I kind of then in the evening I called up my husband. I had just gotten married, and so when I was shifting from that consultancy to CRY, and of course, I've spoken about, I'm so excited. I'll get to use my skills and I'll change the world and this, that, young person thought you could change the world with one job. So my husband was still in Assam. We were married. His posting to Delhi was yet to happen. So I had come back to Delhi to join my job. Uh, I called him up and I said, I can't work. He said, what happened? It is day one, okay, day one evening. So I said, I can't work. The toilet was so dirty. How would I, stay in office? Toilet was so dirty. I can't remember. I mean, I can't believe it. I've got very interesting people in my life. So he
Yeah.
just turns around and he says, हिंदी में बोला था, then I'll translate it into English because the pun is in Hindi. He said,
Yeah.
तुम तो दुनिया बदलने निकली थी, एक टॉयलेट नहीं बदल सकती, you know. So
Yeah.
he said you had decided to change the world. You only have a toilet situation.
Yeah.
Can't you change it? So next day, immediately we formed a toilet committee, and we went Kotla Mubarakpur as a market niche, and we bought jharu, magga, and cleaning everything, all the material, and we requested the community cleaning lady to start cleaning it 4-5 times a day and things like that. So um, the important part of the story is that while you're in this sector, I've shared a very personal and funny story, but the true thing is there will be days when it will be difficult, right? There will be days that there will be challenges that you think you can do nothing about. I mean, look at COVID. Look at what COVID has done to education, right? especially children who don't have laptops. Forget laptops; they don't even have, their parents don't even have smartphones, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday, I was talking to a head teacher, and she was telling me, "Ma'am, even if they have one smartphone, and nowadays rural teachers also once or twice a week take a online class. You know, it's not like private schools where you have entire timetable of online classes.
Yeah.
Typically, you work through voice calls or WhatsApp-based teaching. So she said, when there is a brother and sister, they have to decide if both of them have an online class at the same time. They have to decide that whose subject is more important or more difficult. That who
Hmm.
will attend, who will use the phone to attend a, voice call. So, so look at what has happened, right? Nobody prepared us for this, but
Yeah.
it is only the courage and passion and creative imagination of people that we've been able to whatever extent we've been able to deliver education, we've been able to deliver that
Yeah.
education. So when I look at impact the NGOs are creating, I mean, one way to look at it is to look at what are the benchmarks, what are the goals that were set, and you get very number driven to see whether that has been delivered or not. And of course, that's a correct way to go. You have to set certain kind of,
Parameters.
goals and plans to kind of achieve that. But I also know that a large part of what NGOs achieve is so much more valuable and perhaps not measurable. The kind of challenges that they face, the solutions that they come up with,
Hmm.
uh, can get lost in the Excels and PPTs,
Hmm.
that one prepares. So I have always looked at impact in a very holistic manner.
Hmm.
Uh, and I truly believe that that's what NGOs are really achieving. There's a mindset
Hmm.
change. There are people who are becoming aware of things that are happening outside,
Yes.
apart from the changes that are happening to their lives.
Indeed, indeed. And I think that's very well said, because education in that, certain way is also, of course, shifting the mindsets. And, even though there might be tangible numbers that you might kind of be able to showcase, but there is a quality shift also happening in the lives of people with when education comes in their life, and you leverage it to kind of enhance their lives. So education, in my opinion, if I have to rephrase what you've said, shifts our quality of life, our standards of life, and education brings in that knowledge that can help us lead a life which is a good life, a better life, if I have to say that. For whatever,
Correct.
it just helps us enhance and move up, use our capabilities and talents in various ways. So, very interesting thought, and thank you so much for sharing that. So, amongst all of these things, certain milestones that you've achieved, Mamta, I also got to know that you wrote a book called Money Matters
Uh,
222.
God, how many years back? I don't even remember. So actually, I, it isn't as if I set out to write a book.
Yeah,
So what happened when I left CRY and I was working with various organizations as consultant? Um, I did a very interesting research, which was that because I came from the field of resource mobilization, this agency asked me that, hey, CRY is a big brand, easy for them to raise money. Can you
yeah,
do certain case studies for us, how small NGOs are raising money? And it was, and I had another researcher with me, Hemlata, and it was a study of, actually made me humble because, when I left CRY, I was that one hotshot fundraiser who had, set up offices internationally and things like that. But when I went to these small NGOs and I studied them, my God, because if you're not a known brand, it takes a lot more,
yes,
to raise money. Uh, that's one journey. I visited so many small NGOs. I remember visiting an NGO in Assam and sitting in their ashram and realizing that they'd done a multi-level marketing, so taking 1 rupee from everybody. And I kind of learned so much
mm,
and realized that uh, I may have done many things nationally and internationally, but real talent and real creativity and real guts really exists at the grassroots level. Um, so, and then when I submitted the research, we submitted the research, the agency liked it so much that actually they turned it into a book, and they invited me to Germany, in Hemlata and I both, to launch that book in Germany. It's completely, they had made sure that it's completely free of cost, because it consisted stories, case studies of small NGOs raising resources. And so it was a completely free of cost book distributed among NGOs and things like that. And so that's the journey, which I actually realized that there's such bigger and better people down there in the villages,
Wow,
doing
that
work.
is very, very interesting and very inspiring. So, Mamta, so many things that you shared, so many stories that you discussed and talked about the book as well. Tell us a little bit about these milestones that you came across. How did they change you? How did they bring in a shift in you as a person? And are there any mindset shifts, any practices that you do when it comes to, let's say, being mindful, uh, or anything that has helped you grow in your life? Because what you're talking about was very interesting, that, some experience that you went through humbled you, some experiences of your personal life also that you shared, which shifted you. So, any other milestones that you would like to talk about? How did they change you as a person?
So, the biggest, there's certain things that you carry with you, because that's something that your family, your parents have kind of said, and it stayed with you, or some incident happened. My biggest thing in my life was when I left that consulting job and shifted to development sector. Right, that was a big leap of faith that I took, knowing very well that uh, it would mean that my earning capability will go down a little, because if you keep a corporate path, it takes you on a
Mm.
different curve, and if you join development sector, it will take you on a different curve. Um, so that decision was, I think, it took a lot of courage. It took a lot of thinking, lot of discussing, not only with parents but also with my husband, because it's a lifestyle decision. It's a family decision.
Yes.
But I must say that I've been happy through the journey, right? So uh, I think I got very fortunate that I worked with mostly
Great.
two, Sai and Bharti Foundation, excellent organizations. Um, so that, I think, has been the big milestone in my life to make that shift. The second big milestone, and I don't know how you would react to it, was when I became a mother, you know. And so before that, I was a very aggressive, and if you're a fundraiser, you have a target in front of you, right? And you also live with this constant guilt of that if you don't raise this kind of money, there is a child who may not be reached, right?
Yeah.
If you raise lesser money. So it's not easy being a fundraiser, because there is constant that huge guilt which is there on your head.
Mm.
Um, but I was very aggressive, right? Um, like any sales and marketing person would be. But when I became a mother,
Mm.
and I think the real multitasking, a sense of a sense of helplessness, because a child wants what a child wants and when the child wants, right? You
Yes.
you can't you can't plan anything. Um, that changed me in a very very big manner. To actually start understanding situations better, understanding people better. So I won't say that suddenly I became a completely different person, because I think the first thing is awareness.
Yeah.
and then starts
Yeah,
the
it's a
journey.
journey. It's a journey. Over a period of time, you realize that these things are shifting you,
Yeah,
and
and you have to make an effort,
yeah, to make an
and
effort.
you have to
And I
make
can
an effort.
absolutely relate to that, being a mother as well, and also coming from a corporate world. I've had offers from NGOs to join, but at that moment, let's say, my focus was not that. My focus, and I could not take that leap of faith that you did. So, huge respect to you that to take that shift after an MBA. I'm also an MBA, and when I got offers from organizations like that, I was looking for a multinational organization or things like that, and I had a very different view. I might think things differently now, but I think huge respect to you for being able to take that decision or being in the development sector, specifically being an MBA, because a lot of us have expectations when we come out of our college life and we're looking for jobs, and a development sector in the initial years might not be the best paying master, so to say. So sometimes people choose not to go there in that space as well. So thank you so much for sharing this, and I have a question coming in from our audience. So I'll quickly read that out for you. So Arvind, thank you so much for writing this question, and he has been looking for answer for something like, for a sustainable change, you need to spend good time with NGO working. Again, as a human, we have prime responsibility towards ourselves and family members to remain fit and healthy and happy, as we need to be there with same passion and energy. How this comes in managing time and commercials and feeding these daily needs, if you alone is the earning source of family and background, is not stable. I think a very interesting question, Arvind. And as I mentioned, being an MBA, I myself could not take that leap of faith to get into the development sector, because for me, I wanted being in a certain space that made me that looked more glamorous and things like that. So, Mamta, would you like to take up this question? How can someone balance, let's say, managing time, commercials, and also taking care of the family needs along with that?
So, Advin, there is no straight answer to this. It's very clear that one has to make a choice, right? See, one good thing is, as compared to 1990s today, of course, the salary is less, but it isn't at 25 to 30% of what corporate salary would
Mm.
be. Now, there are many corporate foundations as well. There are not-for-profit
Yeah.
companies as well, right? There are sustainable businesses as well. Today's generation is very lucky because there is this entire spectrum. Earlier on, there used to be only NGOs, right?
Mm.
And these various entities on various part of the spectrum, they do not really go at the bottom of the pyramid salaries. So today's generation has those choices. But you're very right that our first responsibility has to be towards our family, because you can't say that I don't care for my family, but I care for other people's families, right? So that's in any case in your being, it will not sit well. Um, it's a decision one has to make, that how much can you sacrifice, but beyond a point you can't sacrifice, right? So what are the minimum things that you definitely want? What is the minimum saving that you definitely want? Uh, each individual will have a different way of looking at it. And can everybody join NGO sector even if they want to? No, they can't. Sometimes you're sitting in a joint, you're living in a joint family, you're responsible for your parents, you're responsible for your younger brother and sister. It's not possible for everybody. So what I believe in is something that founder of CRY, Ripon Kapoor, he used to say. It's a very simple statement, but it defines, it can really empower you if you understand its meaning. What you can do, you must do. Okay. Now, if you cannot leave your current job and join NGO sector and give up on your, salary and stuff like that, don't do it, right? But what is it that you can do? Can you make sure that the company where you are in follows certain sustainable processes? Can you make sure that you find environmental friendly ways of packaging and things like that, right? What are the things which are in your decision making space by which you can make either the earth or some human being's life better. Can you take out certain part of your monthly salary and give it to an NGO? There are NGOs which are doing excellent work. It is not important that we have to do everything ourselves, right? Trust, find out, do due diligence of NGOs, but after that, trust and give it to them, right? They will do good work on your behalf. They're already doing good work. And if you stay with NGOs long enough, you will see the sustainable impact they have made, not only along with your donation, but donation of thousands of other people, right? So we all may not be able to pick this up as a career, but if you believe that you want to play a role in making this world a better place, we all can do something. The question is, will we do what we can do? So that statement must go. Ripan Kapoor, founder of Cry, he said this. So you must say Ripan Kapoor. It's not my statement. I follow it. It kind of inspires you.
Yeah, very interesting. I think that's so impactful and powerful to, you know, imbibe by, that what you can do, you must do. I think what's right, just do that. And I think in our own small way, as any human being for that matter, all of us have this need to contribute back to the society or to people in general. And I think we must do something about that, because that need, when you fulfill, makes you feel really, really at peace. So it is important that even if you're not part of that sector, can we in our own small way add value to that sector,
You know,
whether
I
it's time or money? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
so this is the same value that we're giving in our Satyabharti schools. Our children are underprivileged children,
Yeah.
okay, and we're making sure that, and this is something Mr. Rakesh Mittal believed very strongly in. He said, yes, education is important, and I want good learning levels, of course, but I want these kids to grow up as contributors to the world. Our kids, they're so young, but they are already doing things for society. Imagine they're underprivileged children, right? So each year our children take up one or two issues. They actually pick up issues, and they're little kids, huh? Class 3, 4, 5. Generally
Wow.
pre-primary class 1 and 2 are children who sit and watch what are seniors doing. In a primary school, class 3, 4, 5 is senior classes, right? And they actually pick up issues like child marriage. Our children have stopped child marriages from happening. Okay, they have picked up certain practices in the village where they felt that parents have to take loan and to celebrate this and things like that. They've addressed gram sabhas to say, can we change this practice? They worked on the issues of untouchability. If certain pond is not clean or the road is not okay, they work with. They actually, I think, trouble the head of the panchayat quite a lot to make sure that things go better in the village. We're we're building up citizens in Satyabharti schools in a manner that they all realize that every single day, or a year of your life, when you celebrate your birthday next year, you must take account of what is it, those one or two things I did which made this world a better place. So we're actually bringing up this, there's this culture of making sure change happens.
Wow.
That's how we're building up Satyabharti school students as well.
Wow, this is so inspiring, Mamta. I'm so excited to hear this, and I'm myself going to, spend some time to learn more about how I can contribute in this space. But this is absolutely inspiring. So, guys who are watching it or will listen to this later, there is an opportunity where we can connect with Bharti Foundation and add value to these people's lives, and these kids are getting ready and already are making a shift in people's lives, a shifting and creating an impact in this world. So this is an amazing thought. And tell us a little more about these schools, Mamta, and a bit about the entire foundation, if possible?
So we initiated our large scale work with Satyabhati schools, and what we've done is we've only set up these schools in the villages, right? Because we felt that the real challenges exist there. And if we can come up with a model of quality education in the villages, then the learnings from that model and good practices from that model can then be taken into government schools, right? Although, believe me, I've gone to many government schools as well. Um, it isn't correct to paint all government schools as not doing well. I mean, that's the picture that one gets. I have seen such good government schools, passionate and committed teachers, and working with children with such dedication. So uh,
Mm.
there are large number of government schools which are doing well, but we
Yeah.
felt that if we work with these schools, one, the direct benefit will go to the communities where we are working,
Mm.
but it'll also give us insights to be able to influence the government schooling system. Because being a private foundation, being a private entity, we get we have the freedom to kind of experiment with new processes and see what works and what doesn't work. So we started Satyabhati School program. Today we have 183 schools, of which
Mm.
5 schools are senior secondary.
Mm.
Okay, and these are English medium schools. So of course, it's a challenge. A lot of
Mm.
credit goes to our principals and teachers because when students come in, we slowly introduce English because in the initial years they understand concepts much better if it is in their mother tongue. Um, our kids, after passing out class 12th, are going to good colleges. Many of them have actually gone to Canada and Australia and are studying in good colleges and things like that. We're very proud of our children. Um, our alumni have started to enter IIT, and medical
Wow.
colleges. So,
Nice.
I think there are certain good things happening in Satyabhati schools. Um, we, around 6, 7 years back, we started partnering government schools, Karuna. So we said
Mm.
that what are some good practices of our schools which we can introduce into government schools? And actually, it's a vice versa process. We learn so much
Mm.
from government schools as well. So
Mm.
what we focus on is, more of a happiness factor. So we want to make government schools happy and engaging spaces
Yeah.
for not only students but as well but also teachers, because
Mm.
if students are happy coming to school, they'll come to school every day. you know
Yeah.
if they're attending class every day, then they're not missing what got taught yesterday. If you miss one period or a key concept, you just miss the entire chain of concepts that are linked to it.
Yeah.
If teachers are engaged, obviously it impacts their quality of teaching, their engagement with students and things like that. It's a very interesting project that we do. We focus a lot more on happy activities, which are very common in private privilege schools. So, making sure houses are working and houses are organizing events, and children are learning how to organize events.
Mm.
Making sure that there are leadership groups so that children are learning,
Mm.
leadership skills, communication
Mm.
skills, debate. So, there's certain things that we take for granted
Mm.
in some of the good schools. Some of the practices we take into government schools, and we have seen the joy and the happiness factor, and that starts impacting everything else. That starts impacting the way school is working. So
Yeah.
that's a very interesting project that we do with government schools.
Wow, very interesting. So, Mamta, you've been known for, as a person who's built a very strong private and public partnership. Specifically, you come from a education of, corporate back education, but you worked in the development sector, and you've been able to create private and public partnerships very effectively. So, what could be your message to people at leadership levels, specifically in the private sector? Specifically in organizations, who are profitable. How can they create an impact, and how could they help build the development sector?
A lot is already happening, Karuna, and corporate sector is full of people high caliber, and uh, they're thinking ahead. already. There are a lot of, and thanks to CSR now, there are a
Mm.
lot of corporates which are now getting involved in development sector. And a good thing is they bring in their intellect, their way of working, their good practices. They're
Mm.
pushing the envelope,
Yeah.
and with now technology taking center space, who's better than the corporate world to bring technology into it? Uh,
Wow.
so really, there is a lot happening already, and I think the corporate world is way ahead in thinking. And there are some interesting partnerships also that are happening.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't have anything to add. It's an exciting phase thanks to
Yeah.
CSR and
Yeah.
corporate coming in full force
Yeah.
in it.
And I think that CSR concept has helped us a lot to be able to build that bridge, which for a long time had been
Yeah,
not there.
missing. Yeah,
So
very
that's
true.
a so that's a very interesting phase, no doubt, that we are into. And actually, it gives the employees of the organizations also a space where they can feel the feeling of contribution, which any human being needs to, experience so that they feel fulfilled. It's so important that it is able to bridge that gap as well. Apart from just a company getting involved, the employees are equally passionate, and that talent is helping set up good processes for development sector, which
Very true.
possibly in the past were not there. So thank you so much for that. So, uh, so let me ask you a different question altogether about you here. Specifically in these challenging times, COVID times, when schools have been impacted, and you mentioned about, not everybody in this, kids in the families in the schools, from the schools also don't have smartphones as well, leave apart the laptops. The education has been impacted to some extent. Also, you as a leader, it has been a difficult time for you to lead teams also because of COVID, challenging times. So, how have you been able to go through this entire situation? What has kept you going as well?
Two things, Karuna. One is the energy of my team. I think we all feed off on each other, and they have not given me the responsibility to be that single source of
Mm.
energy. I've got a I've got an excellent team, really strong people in every chair. So if you build a team of strong people, then the strength of the organization and the strength of leadership. I'm just one of them. You
Yeah.
know, so I've been lucky that way, and so each leader has selected stronger leaders, below them. So we've been very lucky. Bharti Foundation has an excellent team. So it's really the energy exchange between people which keeps you going. If kind of you're not well, suddenly somebody else will pick up the thing and run with it. The work in Bharti Foundation has not suffered because there was excellent teamwork and people silently taking place of the another person when somebody in the family was down with COVID and things like that. And second is the stories of what our teachers are doing on the ground and knowing that they're reaching out to children. I mean, people don't even know what a village based teacher has to do. You have a phone, you have to send you make a video, you explain the chapter to students, you send that little videos to students. After that, some students may get phone there and then they may ask you questions. Some students may get to see the phone in the evening when family parents are coming back. They start asking you questions in the evening. Children who don't have phones, smartphones, teachers call them up and take their class, three, four students in one go. Then imagine getting assignments back on WhatsApp and expanding and looking at the assignment of 35 children and giving comments, right? I mean, looking at what our teachers are doing, we have it very easy. So I think it is just the energy of the team and what they've been able to do, which kind of keeps me going. It's not
Wow.
me, it's them.
I'm sure there are such amazing stories to know about. Is there a way we can know more about this? I think this is so beautiful. The kind of
See,
effort they have put
yeah.
in. we would be, I would personally would like to promote this in whatever way possible, and uh, let the world know more about how these teachers are actually making an impact in these kids' lives.
So I think on a website, we now created a special section on education during COVID or some such section, where what our teachers are doing with photographs and things like that. It's very funny. I attended an online class, and with kids, their parents also attend, either mother or the father, right?
Okay.
It's important. It's
Yeah.
important that they attend because they also get a sense of what's happening and what assignments to do and things like that. So
Mm.
I've heard parents asking question, and I've heard suddenly some people have come into the house and you hear that entire thing of people coming in, and
Yeah.
yeah, all those conversations happening. So well, so there is a section. There are interesting stories and our work over there. But
Mm.
I must say, even government teachers and teachers of most of the education projects of NGOs, everybody, teachers, I mean, our workers obviously have been at the forefront, but our
Mm.
teachers have been amazing across the country, across the world. What teachers have done during this COVID,
Mm.
of course, children would lose learning levels because these are not normal schools. We weren't
Yes.
ready for teaching through technology. But in spite of all of that, teachers have made sure that children stay engaged with education. And
Mm.
that's amazing across board, across board.
Wow, that's very humbling, Mamta. And personally, for me, I think I can just feel for the teachers the kind of effort they've put into it, and also the zest to learn by the students as well. Both aspects. That those, even though those kids don't have all of the infrastructure for them, that passion to continue to learn and passion to teach for those teachers, for both
Yeah,
aspects. I think we need to, and we must, in whatever way possible,
acknowledge that. Yeah.
yes, promote this as well in whatever way possible. So, Mamta, viewers watching us might be from various backgrounds, various experiences. But I would like you to leave a message for our audience, specifically any key learnings or any pointers for them which they can take back from you as a leader, specifically in these times of crisis and change. What is it that they should do to hang in there with so much of stress, so much of challenges that all of us are seeing around? What is it that you would like to tell them to hang in there? And specifically because you're in the education space, maybe more, millennials is what I think you're more passionate about to deal with.
So one is a message in a personal space, and second is, let's say, for millennials in a professional space, because all of them would be looking for jobs at this stage. So in a very personal space, I think for everybody who today has the privilege of having a job or having sufficient funds in the house, not to be worried about what may happen tomorrow. Um, it is really very important to seek out people who may be needing some kind of financial assistance, and making sure that people around them receive that, making sure that they're supporting small businesses, around their house, um, and making sure that they're supporting NGOs. Whatever little money that you can give, everything counts, everything adds. In such times, we have to, in the evening, every day think, okay, what have I done today? Have I done something that somewhere some amount of money will, reach somebody? It is okay at times to just stop the e-rickshaw guy who's passing your house and give him packed food, a packet from your kitchen, and feed a guy. Um, it's not a time of measuring whether it's a small action or a big action, but action we must take. And two youngsters who would be at this critical juncture of finishing their education and looking at jobs and starting their careers and things like that. Uh, One thing that I believe in is to be a learner for life. You know, whatever, whether you have a job right now or not, just don't stop learning. And more importantly, once you get a job which you're very passionate about, then definitely don't stop learning, because what happens is that, and it happened to me, I got so passionate about my job in CRY that I let that job consume me. I was thinking about that job 24 hours, not leaving any space to find out where the world is moving, right? So reading and remaining a learner for life is the most critical skill.
I think that's a beautiful message, and these are golden nuggets, guys. Don't pass on with, go ahead with it. Use this and apply this in your life. Listening to it might just inspire you for a few minutes, but I would say just take them back and apply it. That is where you will see a huge amount of difference. And what Mamta is talking about is absolutely from experience. So you know that, a leader is coming and talking about this where they've experienced this in their own lives and have made that impact in a lot of people's lives as well. So thank you so much for sharing all of this. One last feedback I would like to take from you, Mamta, about our show. The theme of our talk show is creating conscious cultures, leaders, and careers. So any feedback that you might have for us?
No, I think it's an amazing, if I may say, umbrella theme that you've picked up. I just believe if we have to achieve SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, right? It is important for leadership, for organizations, for employees, everybody to be very conscious of what's happening. Today Earth is at a stage that if we don't stop and do things in a sensitive and a conscious manner, right, we may just reach a stage from where there's no coming back. I think COVID has been a warning
Absolutely,
to all
yes.
of us to build that conscious leadership. So I think it's bang on. If we have to achieve SDG, we require such leaders and such human beings.
Thank you. And this is a small effort to help people learn from these conversations that we are having. And thank you so much, Mamta, for giving in so much of value for this last 1 hour that we've been talking around. And there are so many golden nuggets in this conversation, so many beautiful stories that Mamta has talked about. I'm sure people watching it or will listening to it later would find a lot of value in this. So thank you so much for this beautiful time that we've been able to spend, and looking forward to some amazing more sessions coming up next Thursday. So keep watching our session. And thank you, Mamta, for giving this time to us.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Karuna.
Looking
Bye.
forward to more conversations. Thank you for now. And we're signing off
Thanks.
for now. Talk to you later. Thank you, everyone, for watching this live.
Bye.